Salute Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing in Motown as the New York Knicks take back control of the series with the grittiest win of the season. Backs to the wall. Detroit wouldn't quit in this one. They needed some help late from the scorekeeping table, but the Knicks prevailed. Late free throws and execution from the captain, but Karl-Anthony Towns answered the call in this one. 31 points, plus 8, big time, 4 threes, and 10 of 18. As the New York Knicks wing stop was gritty as well. Complete team effort tonight. Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Whew. Cardiac game, if I've ever seen one, man. Every time the Knicks are in the playoffs, it's box office, right? And this is no different. The Knicks lead the series now 2-1. Take back control immediately, right? Give up control in game 2 and snatch it back off Detroit and their home crowd. And the Knicks have momentum heading in to game 4 on Sunday, man. It'll be a matinee game, but the Knicks get 2 days rest as well, and they're going to need it. Salute to the chat, on fire. Let's break this thing down, give out our guys our flowers. As the Knicks made adjustments, key adjustments in this one, we're going to give the flowers out. But, you know, no quit for the Detroit Pistons. You know, you got to give them credit. You know, I didn't think this series was going to be easy for 2 reasons, because the Knicks just seem to fall back into adversity every time they start to prosper. But credit to them, you know, they executed late and Detroit could not. You know, foul trouble, bedeviled, in the words of Clyde. Detroit once again, lack of discipline, and the Knicks' experience and savviness as well. We're going to talk about that shot clock, early shot clock from the scorers table, which gave the Pistons another timeout and 0.5 seconds to win the game, right? There's going to be mass reviews and you know, investigations into that. But thankfully for everyone, for the league office especially, that nothing came of that, because that would have been absolutely egregious that the Detroit Pistons had a chance to win that game, right? With the buzzer sounding before the player was able to rebound a missed free throw. Also, there's going to be a bit of discourse over, did Jalen Brunson, you know, get a backcourt violation? I think it was the correct call, because he didn't establish in position before he caught the ball as well. It was very close. It was absolutely very close, but you have to establish position. You have to catch the ball and establish position in the front court in order to go into a backcourt situation. But captain, the Knicks extended the lead in the fourth quarter, but credit to Detroit. They just continued to hit 3 after 3 after 3. But it was that stretch halfway through the fourth where Malik Beasley and those guys couldn't hit the open shots to really force the pressure on the Knicks and get back the lead. They only gave up the lead once, the Knicks, and then they held control in this one. But what an absolutely phenomenal effort defensively. You know, start with Josh Hart. I thought Josh Hart was, you know, one of his best games as a New York Knick. He was an absolute Lionheart in this one with 9 assists, 11 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, plus 5, with just 6 points, only 1 turnover, 2 steals and a block as well. OG Anunoby, not as efficient from the field, but 3 of 8 from downtown was big, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 22 points with 2 steals and a block as well. But Karl-Anthony Towns is scoring tonight, man. We finally showcase why we have the more talent on this team. And solid execution from the point guards, 22 assists from the team. Obviously, Jalen Brunson's 9. That's heroic as well, but Hart's 9 as well. But Cat, man, critical fadeaway bucket. That's the one that sealed it. Guys, I see you in the chat. Buzzer beater, Johnny, what's good? Rye, Tendrell, AP, Chris Gotti, El Tango, Elliot, great hustle win. in a hostile territory. Yep, absolutely buzzing right now, guys. Vaughn, what's good, Paula? Um, we can breathe a sigh of relief. I'm catching my breath still. I'm hyped, absolutely hyped. Look forward to getting back to MSG Game 5 with a potential chance to close it out if we can win a Game 4, right? The Pistons, how are they going to adjust? The Knicks made key adjustments in this one. A lot more minutes with Mitchell Robinson, right? You like to see that. Mitch played 15 minutes. Well, maybe not a lot more minutes, but he just seemed so impactful in the minutes he was out there. Um, Deflections, steals. The New York Knicks getting 11 steals was absolutely big time. Mikal Bridges, big shots. One of his biggest games as a New York Knick, 7 of 13 from the field and 50% from downtown with 20 points. And the first time since 1972 that the New York Knicks have had 4 players in double figures, 4 players in the 20s in a playoff game. It was absolutely sensational, guys. And we had the Jalen Brunson chance, and he just thrived in that environment as a road warrior. Jay Supreme says it, man. Refs did all they could to give the game to the Pistons. Yep. Ed said, I can't believe they were giving the Pistons another chance to win that one. It's just absolutely crazy. But it's us against the world. We snatched the win, baby. And we're on our way to closing this series out now. Let's gather this momentum and close them out back in Game 5 if we can win Game 4, right? And the Pistons are going to give their best shot because they won a game on the road. We've snatched that game back on the road now, and the momentum is now with us, man. It's a best of, what is it now? We're 3 games down. The Knicks only need 2 more wins, so it's a best of 3 series right now, man. But the Cap, man, he moved the rock. He heard the noise. He heard the noise, guys. I'm so proud. Angel says Bickerstaff is probably hurting his team with all this badgering with the refs. Yeah, he should have got a technical, man. The amount of times. What about Malik Beasley, man? The taunting. Last I checked, they don't want no brouhaha to start. You can't be taunting, a dude right into his face. Look, old school ways, I don't mind taunting, but obviously if they say it's against the rule, then they should be calling it, man. He pointed right at OG in his face, basically. That can start a brouhaha, but OG kept his cool. And my prevailing thought, guys, is that we didn't wilt under the pressure. There were so many runs that Detroit made, run after run after run, and the Knicks just kept their cool. It helped with a good start. Cat was hitting his threes. The ball was moving. The Knicks were starting the game with a solid pace. Then we gave it back. The start of the third, man. I know you guys were frustrated to start that third. I was frustrated as the Knicks went into half with a 10-point lead. And then they gave it back. Man, in the span of 2-3 minutes, the Pistons were right back in the ball game to start the third. But it is difficult, on the road. The crowd, credit to the crowd, it was one of the most hostile environments that we've seen, especially in the Brunson era. But yeah, our guys' experience prevailed, and we kept our cool. Mitchie was probably the guy that was the most amped, pushing back Paul Reed, getting a double T on that one. I don't even know why Mitchie got a T on that one. Paul Reed should have got the T, not Mitchie. Cat pushed back as well. We got to see a lot of push from Cat tonight, man. The Cat was a panther tonight, a Black Panther, and what a spin move in that one. He had Jalen Duren, man, wishing that he was, already in Cancun. Right here, man. Play of the game for me. This and one, look at the score right there, man. We're basically clinging on with grim death. Only up 1, Pistons making a big run. But Cat, great footwork with the spin cycle. Angel says when we win, we get the win when the refs call a marginally fair game. Yep. Ed says I thought they would give him a tech too. Yep, 100%. Look, it's chippy. This is playoff ball. I'm enjoying it. Man, if you're a neutral, you got to be enjoying this series. Make no mistake. Jay's Beer says great win. bring on the Pacers buzzer beater. Chris says Robinson was playing a bit weird today. I thought Mitch was keeping his dribble. I like that from Mitch. I think that's growth. A lot of the time Mitch would have picked up his dribble, but he was actually a decent sort of a facilitator in the short roll. Made a nice read. The ball was on a string tonight. Even under the biggest pressure, I liked our communication, says Vaughn. Michael Dollar salute. Also, congrats to the Cap for winning Clutch Player of the Year, Buzzer Beater says. And fitting time and a great game to salute to that. Great accolade. And look down the stretch, he was getting his team in right sets, getting involved with the fadeaway as well. The mismatching on Tobias Harris was key as well. I'm going to talk about the key adjustments that was made. Hart was a lot more of a facilitator tonight, right? They weren't going to guard him shooting, so obviously they brought him into the action. So that was the biggest adjustment. The second biggest adjustment was obviously getting Cat closer to the basket, so much so that he was having success with Tobias, and then they had to cross match and get Jalen Duren back on him as well. But look, Cat was gritty tonight defensively as well, getting deflections, steals. I just love the way we closed it out. It was obviously a real dicey situation, but the free throws, you got to shout out to our clutch vein, our clutch gene. What did we hit? 25 of 26? 26 of 29 at the line, and that sealed the game at 89% too. We didn't hear a lot of Knicks fans because Pistons obviously limited the ticket sales, but that wasn't gonna count against us because the Knicks brought their lunch pail as road warriors in this one. We had Ben Stiller and celebrities in the building though, and the Knicks had a 13-point lead at the half, and that was when I was really feeling good. I thought we execute down the stretch and we win this ball game, and we did it for the most part. Credit to the Pistons for making a big run. Tim Hardaway's still hitting threes right now, man. Of all the guys trying to kill us, man, Timmy, I know we traded you twice, but don't forget, we signed you twice as well. You have to sign a player twice to trade them twice. Doug Fresh in the building. Vaughn says, and we saw a lot of pick and roll, more than usual, between the 1 and the 5. Yeah. We played to our strengths, fam. Look at Josh Hart's stat line. 9 dimes, 2 steals, a block. We frustrated Cade as well. And look, we take back the control, man. They want to talk about, is Cade the best player in the series? Well, you could make a case that OG Anunoby could be above him. You could definitely make the case that with Game 1 and Game 3, that Karl Anthony Towns has been a better player in the series than Cade. And then also, with Game 1 and with Game 3, you could make a case that Jalen Brunson is the best player in the series. And that's what it ultimately comes down to, guys. They've got one guy. He's a great guy, Cade, Motorcade, and they've got some, deadly shooters that we need to pay attention to. But at the end of the day, when it's clutch and it's go time, they don't have anybody else. They don't have anybody else that can create. And we have more than plenty of guys. We just had to play to our strengths, and we did that, fam. Shout out Miles McBride. Hit a big time shot that helped us keep the lead. Deuce, finished +8. Only hit that 1-3. We're going to need some more scoring because we're playing guys huge minutes. Thankfully, we have the 2 days rest because we're going to need it. 40 minutes from Hart, 42 from OG, 41 from Cat, and 38 from Mikal. JB played 38 as well. I'm really pleased to see Mitch play 15 minutes. I would like that to go up, but we'll see. Is Tibbs going to dust off another guy? Shamet's holding on to his barely, rotation minutes. Cam got 9 tonight. He was a lot better. but we had to get JB back in the game because they were making huge runs in that one. Yeah, Tim Hardaway was chirping El Tango all game. You could tell this means a lot for Detroit, man. And we gave them confidence in game 2, but we took it right back, right? So now, what are we going to do in game 4? Is the Knicks team with a killer mentality going to show up and turn the lights out at Little Caesars, man? Right? They won't be fond of Little Caesars if we can win game 4. I'll tell you that, man. We'll have a chance to close them out in game 5. But shout out to you guys. Shout out to all the believers as well. Not the ones flip-flopping after game 2. Not the ones talking about, next year. We in this thing for the long haul, right? This series might go a little longer than some hoped, but tonight goes a long way to helping us close this baby out, right? You see Mitch and Kat. I like Kat's demeanor tonight. He kept his cool. And no doubt Mitchie was fired up because, he hasn't played a whole lot of playoff ball as Mitch, but he was super impactful. Was Mitchell Robinson. Used up his 4 fouls. Detroit got a really big spark from Paul Reed. And, that helped them. Obviously, no Isaiah Stewart. I think they're resting him up for game 4. That is going to be another key adjustment that we're going to have to get ready for and stay out of foul trouble. But I think, after tonight, you could say that the Knicks have probably been now the best team in the series out of the 3 games. Maybe it's a split. However, the New York Knicks, obviously, though, have been the more disciplined team. All 3 games, the Pistons have been in foul trouble, and they just haven't been able to, keep their cool. And I think it's a reflection of their coach. Their coach is crazier than Tibbs in terms of, barking on the sidelines, talking smack. What about that decision, man, to use his challenge call in the first quarter? I mean, that's amateur stuff right there. That's all the stuff that the Cleveland Cavaliers fans were talking about, not missing JB Bickerstaff. Because he does, act like a petulant child sometimes, and he's got a young team and they need to look up to him as well. Chris says, I'm glad Cam got more minutes. Yeah, 100%. Johnny says, I'm psyched for the win, but Knicks overall were not sharp for the 48. I think tiredness, fatigue came in, shorter rotation, fam. But just what a phenomenal heroic effort from the wing stop right there. So without further ado, let's give out these game balls and the grades right now. Definitely going to dial up the first game ball for the Black Panther, Karl Anthony Towns, man. In his 3rd playoff game as a New York Knick, he came to play in a major way, right? It was a disappearing act in game 2, and what an adjustment, right? That's how you know that, these players still believe in what's happening. They're hungry and they want to win this series. Karl Anthony Towns came out firing, man. He was raining threes in Detroit right there. Look at Jalen Duren, man, drop coverage on Cat. That was punished. And so Karl Anthony Towns' stat line, he finished with 10 of 18, 4 of 8 from downtown, a perfect 100% from the free throw line, 7 of 7, 31 points and a +8 with 8 rebounds and a steal, 2 blocks and an assist, 4 fouls, man. Heroic. Best player on the court tonight. And they went to him, and Tobias Harris, man, was food in this one. He was food. And that's exactly what everyone was, angry about in game 2. And we 100% took advantage of that matchup. But Karl Anthony Towns was cool, calm, collected, and he was hitting acrobatic shots, spin cycle moves, fadeaways, and of course the straight line threes went a long way to killing the Detroit Pistons. So we don't win this ball game without Cat. A+ for me, right? In a hostile environment. I know we've got the NFL draft popping as well. Trying to keep my eyes on what the Giants are up to. Salute Shez V. The Giants drafted Abdul. Yeah, I seen that. we'll have plenty of time to chop that up. I'm excited. I'm hyped. Angel says Schroeder and Hardaway can't stay this hot, and Cade can't go 7 without them putting up big games each. Yeah, I think we adjusted really well. You know, our coverages were sharp, crisp, hedging, and then recovering really well. Cade found Jalen Duren on the lob for a couple of times, pick and roll, and then we got Jalen Duren out of the game because Cat went right back at him. I think that was the key moment. Angel and Nick's family, I think they were going to continue to spam that pick and roll with Cade and Duren, but we got Duren out of the game, and it was toast on that one. Next up, talk about redemption arc, redemption story. Like Buzzerbeater said, clutch player of the world, clutch player of the NBA, the league, worldwide. There's no bigger clutch player than JB. Didn't miss a single free throw late, so credit to him. How about that dive for that loose ball? You know, locking up Schroeder. That's the hustle play from our captain, leading by example. And then Duren tipped that jump ball out of bounds, and we ended up getting that possession back. So Hart and Brunson gave us so many second chance possessions from the hustle. And so Jalen Brunson answered the call in a major way. What did he finish with? His numbers, JB, 9 of 20, 1 of 7 from downtown, 11 of 13 from the stripe, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 30 burger, and a +8 with a block and a turnover. Right, only 1 turnover to 9 assists as well. That's our point guard back, ladies and gentlemen, and he helped us seal this game out as well. So proud of our captain for responding. 30 points with 9 assists, but the ball movement was excellent tonight, and that's exactly what we need. And he'll continue, I think, to get us in our spots in Game 4. I'm looking forward to it, man. The Pistons are going to try some physical tactics, you know, and I really feel like Game 4 is going to be the most brutal physically game, because if the Knicks win, that's the series, you know. Pistons are now fighting for their life, you know, for their playoff life. So for the bounce back, I'm going to give Brunson the A+, 9 dimes on a 30 piece. Big time on the world stage as well. All those haters can F off as well and learn how to play D without fouling, right? Everyone want to call our guy a foul merchant. Well, you got to play D without fouling, man. Brunson's a 6'2" guard that doesn't really get to the rim. There's no need for them to continue to foul him, right? And he ain't even in the top 5 in free throws for the season, right? So it's just a nonsense narrative right there. Knicks 25-26 champs. Schroeder is a problem. He almost beat the Knicks earlier this season when he was in Brooklyn. He's the spark that Detroit have needed. But, you know, he's a bench player. And, you know, when he goes to that bench, he can't have much of an impact as well. So we're going to talk about this later, as OG Anunoby didn't receive any votes for Defensive Player of the Year, which is absolutely asinine, right? However, OG Anunoby was phenomenal in this one. OG, the leader of the Wingstop Brigade. And OG's activity was unbelievable, right? So next up, OG finished 7 of 17, but with 2 steals and a block, 22 points on +2, and 2 rebounds, 5 of 6 from the stripe, 3 of 8 from downtown. Big time shot making from OG, and two-way defense, man. 22 points with 3 stocks as well. And how he didn't get a vote for Defensive Player of the Year is absolutely hatred right there. But nonetheless, we appreciate what OG's brought to the table this season and the postseason so far, man. He's winning that matchup against Cade, in my honest opinion. Now, Cade won Game 2, but if you look at Game 1, he locked him down, and Cade had I don't know, 7 turnovers. You look at tonight, Cade had 7 turnovers again, 6 or 7 turnovers. So as far as I'm concerned, OG's won that matchup, right, in a major way. Two-way play, he's just an absolute demon. And we don't win that game without his defensive prowess. Going to give OG the A in this one. He didn't have that lift at the end because he was gassed, and Paul Reed blocked that shot. And that was a tough patch where the Pistons made a big run and got back into it. I think OG late in the ball game, in those short roll situations, he just has to use the head fake. Use the head fake. Mikal got blocked at the rim earlier as well. That had me frustrated, that play. Patrick says Game 4 is going to be wild. Hyenas fight. Yep. Johnny says our OG A minus. DeRas, what's good? B++ for OG. And El Tango, yeah, it was criminal that our guy OG no votes. I know a lot of respected journalists and people that watch the league that felt like OG's going to be in a second team all D. So the fact that he got no votes is kind of crazy. But look, as a team, our defense wasn't great all season, but OG definitely kept us up. When the chips were down. Also for Tibbs, let me update our graphic with Tibbs. Right, he might not be smiling after this one, but for now he's safe because Tibbs made some key adjustments. The 2 days off paid a huge factor for the New York Knicks to watch tape and hurt the Pistons where they needed to be hurt. And that was a lot of the getting Brunson and Cat off ball, a lot of Hart, a lot of Bridges activity on the ball, and those guys finding success hitting Brunson coming off a screen. Karl Anthony Towns as well. But let's talk about it. As Mitchie played a big impact in this one as well. But Mikal and Josh Hart. I'm going to give the second game ball to Jay Hart for his efforts in this one. Right. What a game from Josh Hart. What a response from the coaching staff to get him on the ball a lot more, making plays. Right. He wasn't a threat from downtown, and the Pistons know that. But what we did was flip the script on Detroit, and we had a lot of back cuts. OG got found by Hart with a back cut early, and that set the tone. I thought, man, the Knicks are running some nice offense with this one. Yep, Hart bringing up the ball in this one, finding Cat getting downhill on Paul Reed. Cat was murdering Paul Reed and Duran, man. They're going to need Beef Stew back in a major way. So Hart's numbers, as he gets the second game ball of this huge playoff win for the Knicks on the road, taking control of the series now. Hart finished 11 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, 9 assists, 2 steals, a block, 6 points +5. Man, on 3 of 7 efficiency, right? Missed the open 3, but got us 3 stocks as well from Josh Hart. And a perfect stat line, flirting with a triple-double. Once again, man, the leader, the Lionheart, stepped up in this one. He was barking out orders. He was telling OG to, that's cool, stay cool after a turnover. And Mike Breen was calling it out. I thought Hart was absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to give Hart the A+ in this one. Big time performance. DeRas says B++ for Hart and A- from Johnny for Hart. Salute Queen's Place in the house. Johnny says without Schroeder and Timmy going wild, Knicks would have won that easily. Yeah, discipline. We've got to stay locked in on those shooters. But it's not easy because Cade pulls so much gravity, cutting to the basket. I'm not going to lie. I thought maybe an adjustment we would see would be another bigger guy in the rotation from the Knicks, whether it be Precious or maybe PJ Tucker. I thought maybe somebody who could switch, because they're constantly trying to get OG switched off of Cade on the pick and roll. So I thought maybe does Tibbs go with another bigger guy that could maybe switch on onto Cade? Because Cade's got one move, man. I'm not going to lie. Like, I like Cade's game, and obviously he's still young in his career, and he's going to continue to get better and grow. But he's so predictable. It's go right, lower the shoulder, and literally put the shoulder into the chest and try to finish on the pick and roll, or come off the pick and throw a dime on the roll to the roll man or the corner. Uh, and you can obviously hit a J. You can hit a pick and pop. You can hit a step back J. But in terms of skill set wise, his bag's quite limited, and I think the New York Knicks, uh, you know, can guard Cade with a bigger guy. Mikal Bridges had a better showing tonight on him, and he wasn't able to abuse him as much. But obviously, they're going to try to get OG, switched off of Cade, and no doubt the Knicks did a better job tonight. Look at OG in the passing lane. That should have been an and one too on this play, right? As we highlight the second man of our wing stop, but OG Anunoby again, A plus tonight, and A tonight, and OG deserves potentially an A plus. I won't be mad if you think, but OG's ability to get downhill and get in that passing lane definitely frustrated Cade tonight, and Cade was fouling too. That's just great instincts from OG in that one, and once again should have got the and one. But Mikal Bridges is another player that redeemed himself because his ability to hit tough shots was huge. And obviously it pulls so much gravity for other guys, and it freed up Cat, freed up Brunson. Bridges was a lot more aggressive, like we wanted to see. So Mikal finished 7 of 13, 3 of 6 from downtown. He got 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 20 points, and used up 2 fouls, 3 turnovers, finished with a -4, but played 38 minutes, guarding tough on every single possession. So a much better performance from Mikal. I'm happy. I'm pleased. If he's wanting the New York Knicks to pay him a solid contract on the next deal, right? His playoff, performances were going to play a huge part right now, and by far the best performance of the series from Mikal Bridges, and he was my X factor coming into this series, guys. If Mikal plays like he did tonight, the Knicks win this series in 5 or 6. Because at 20 points, just enough, and a solid defense, right, to ease the load on these other guys. So solid two-way performance from Mikal Bridges, right? He's going to get an A- from me. How did you guys see it? Altango says the starting 5, A pluses. I like that. Johnny says Hart A-. Yeah, these guys really tighten their defensive rotations in this one. Yeah, Johnny, tightening the rotation could hurt us later in the playoffs, I would like to see a Precious or a PJ Tucker for a little bit, even if it's 5-6 minutes, just get him in there, get some of these wings a bit more of a blow. But Tibbs's pressure, his back was against the wall, and he definitely needed to win this one, man. Can you imagine how significant this win is? Because if the Knicks had lost and gone down in this series 2-1, there might not be no looking back after that, man. Game 4, it could have been a spiral, and gone downhill. But the Knicks winning this one, they get back the momentum now, and we have a chance to close them out in Detroit, where we're going to feel more confident. The crowd is going to get a little bit antsy. If the Knicks can start well in Game 4, maybe we start to snatch the hope, the belief away from this young Pistons team. Man. But the series is far from done, man. This could still be a seesaw. So I'm not prepared to say that the series is done yet. We adjusted, and I expect the Pistons, to readjust. But the only thing is now our guys obviously have got that dog in them, and they've barked back. Now Jalen Brunson heard all that talk, and he thrived in this environment, just like he did in Villanova. Queen's Place says, Knicks got this. Yeah, how confident are you now? I feel like the Knicks can definitely win this thing in 5 if they can take game 4. The Pistons will be frustrated. They'll be agitated. Their coach will be heated. I thought he lost his cool tonight. And look, that's just the pressure they're under as well. The Knicks are a more talented team and they're fighting an uphill battle. I thought the Knicks kind of gave them game 2 because obviously we know the lack of execution, down the stretch. Brunson, a little bit too tunnel vision. But tonight we started well and we finished well. And mass credit to these guys. Now Tibbs called a key timeout as well when the Knicks Pistons made that run. They cut it to 8. He called timely timeouts. He kept that timeout as well late, which was critical. He won the challenge call too and made some key adjustments as well. So with that said, I'm going to dial up a grade from Thomas Thibodeau, and he helped dial up the win. So I'm going to give Tibbs an A in this one. It wasn't pretty at times, but it was definitely gritty. But it was much better than game 2 at MSG. Much better execution, and nobody could argue that the Knicks were the better team tonight. And Detroit were coming. They've got shooters above the break. But like Johnny said in the chat said tonight, if Timmy Hardaway doesn't catch fire, the Knicks win this by double figures. He was literally the guy keeping a minute because he couldn't miss. Queens, Detroit's only hope is bully ball. The Knicks adjusted to it. Yep. We got more above the break threes. We played at a faster pace. And we thrived in the physicality. I really think they're missing Isaiah Stewart. No doubt about it. We played all of their bigs off the floor. Cat dominated Tobias Harris. He got Duran in foul trouble. Paul Reed was probably their best big, coming in there with that energy, right? Now for the bench with these grades. So I'm going to give the bench grades out rapid fire. Continue to shout you guys out and relive these highlights as the New York Knicks take control of the series, winning on the road. The first game back at Little Caesars Arena, right? The Knicks weren't little tonight, man. They were the big bro, and they dominated the little bro over at Little Caesars in the first playoff game in a long while, right? And the New York Knicks are road warriors. I think they've had an excellent road record this season. Deuce was a big part of that. Hit a big shot. He came to play. I thought Campaign's energy was infectious as well. Campaign played with good energy. Got some tips, frustrated, got into the grill of those guys off the bench. Made Dennis Schroeder work for everything. But I really like Mitchell Robinson's impact off of our bench too. So more Mitch minutes, please. Right, he's fully healthy, and I like seeing him out there here with a massive putback from Mitchie, and that came at an important time. Right, we're going to look at the team stats. Salvatore says, one thing I don't get, didn't Duran have 5 fouls at the very end of the third or the beginning of the fourth? Why didn't the Knicks go at him and get him fouled out? Yeah, spot on. I think we went away from Cat a little bit, and then we corrected ourselves and we went back to Cat. Yeah, when the Pistons made their key run, we lost control of not getting the ball to Cat, and that was on Brunson, that was on Payne. But then we got it, we corrected it, and we got it back in his hands, man. My God, Karl Anthony Towns made huge plays, especially tough shot making with the fadeaway buckets as well. And what a dime from Brunson in that one to find one of Mikhail's biggest shots of the game. SF Wisdom says our bench scoring is seriously lacking and Shamit's a non-factor. Mikhail actually had a great game. Yeah, agree with all of that. I think we rely on Deuce a lot, and I think it has to start with him. Campaign had a big game one. He's kind of done his job for the series. He might not have another performance like that, but he helped us win game one. 4 points tonight. Would have liked Cam to be a little bit more efficient and impactful. However, Deuce's scoring is badly needed. And look, if Shamit can't, even get a single shot up, give someone else his spot. Maybe give his minutes to Achua or PJ Tucker, who could be a spacer in the corner, and maybe pull in a few rebounds. But yeah, this could be a longer series, and we might end up seeing the rotation get expanded a little bit. But if you guys checked out my preview, I predicted that Tibbs would go heavy in the first 4 games of the series because of the scheduling. It's actually in our favor. Another 2 days rest. Game 7, Sunday is a matinee. So it's going to be like an early tip. But basically, 2 off days now. The team has got Friday, Saturday to heal up and recover. Maybe run through some more film, prepare for some adjustments from Detroit. Where I think Detroit went wrong, and this helped the Knicks, I thought the Knicks did a good job of slowing them down. My worry heading into tonight that there would be a lot of fast break buckets, and the Knicks actually, to our credit, did a phenomenal job, fam. As I look at the team stats, we basically split the fast break points, and that is huge. That's a huge victory. The Knicks got 14, and Detroit with 15. 13. The Knicks won. The Knicks won the fast break points, 14-13. The Knicks won second chance points as well. Battle of the possessions, and the Knicks won points in the paint. So that's a clean sweep on the road of dominance. The Knicks lost the rebounding again, but by a smaller margin. We split the assists, 22 apiece, but the Knicks almost doubled steals, double blocks, less turnovers, better from the field, worse from the 3-point line though. The 3-point line was keeping this game closer than it needed to be. But nevertheless, man, Cat stepped up in a major way. I had a really good game 1 and a really, really good game 3. And I could probably say that Karl Anthony Towns has been the player of the series, right? Which makes game 2 even more crazy that we froze him out, fam. This could be a 3-0 series if we didn't freeze out Cat. Al Tango says Tibbs has to trust the bench more. Cat won us that game. Yeah, took the words out of my mouth, brother. Some key playmaking. We got Cat closer to the basket on the block, and we made them have to readjust. We won the battle of the adjustments, 100%. Reason being is that they want to put Tobias Harris on Cat, and it worked in game 2, but we countered and we got Cat closer to the basket. We got Jalen Brunson off the ball and had Mikal and Hart handling the ball a lot more, making plays off the bounce. And so that Cat could cut, he could get closer to the basket. Brunson could cut coming downhill as well. And then OG got a few backdoor plays in this one. And if we get better production from our bench, then yeah, the series is over earlier. One thing I've got to give the nod to Detroit is that their bench is actually outplaying our bench. Mitch aside, and obviously the spark in game 1 for campaign. But as a whole, Dennis Schroeder, massive factor. Malik Beasley, been a factor off their bench. And Ron Holland, Paul Reed have been decent. Isaiah Stewart could be a player that swings this series. Guys, his rim protection is legit. But yeah, let us know what is the keys to game 4, because they're definitely going to adjust. SF says, I think the game plan was to blitz Cade and let everyone else try to beat us. yeah, we also held our own on the 1v1s, you know. I think Cade had more success in game 2 on the 1v1, and I think maybe the home crowd nerves got to him, the expectations. It is tough, you know. Some players thrive on the road. You know, it ain't uncommon for some players to admit that they like playing on a road environment as opposed to at home, because the ball just feels a bit more heavier when you're at home. You know, the crowd's, you know, going crazy. Your decision making is under big scrutiny. You know, do you pull the trigger? Do you distribute? Do you take a tough step back? I think Cade couldn't, you know, get into a rhythm offensively, and would definitely making it difficult. Yeah, Salvatore says, Bickerstaff's strategy seems to have his guys foul on most every play and then complain to the refs on every single play that he doesn't get the call or the non-call in his favor. Yeah. I thought he just needs to shut his mouth, because in practice, I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, but he was talking about that the Knicks didn't handle physicality or couldn't handle physicality, and his team went and crapped the bed tonight. We were the ones that adjusted to the physicality. They didn't, and they were just literally complaining, man. Um, you know, yeah, they called a tighter whistle tonight, but we weren't complaining. Nobody can complain about Brunson foul baiting tonight, man. The only free throws Brunson got were really down the stretch, you know, during the foul game as well. Um, you know, and look, our starting five is so much more talented than their starting five, and we finally put together a complete performance with our full starting five. I mean, nobody played poorly in the starting five. Cat, dominant. Brunson, excellent. OG, dominant. Hart, dominant. Mikal, excellent. You know, so we pushed all the right buttons in this one. Let's keep it going. Let's keep this thing going and close these guys out before they get any more confidence back as well, right? You know they're going to come out in game 4 like their life depends on it, right? The series is done, and they don't want to, you know, give their home crowd basically a lump of coal with 2 games, 2 losses on their home floor. So I think the keys to game 4, guys, if we weather the early storm, you know, start strong like we did tonight, weather the storm, and just stay in it. You know, the crowd is going to start to get a bit more, you know, nervous. The Knicks can get confidence if they can hit some shots as well. Deuce McBride hasn't really come alive yet as well. JB couldn't buy a 3 tonight, 1 of 7. So if all of those things go in our favor, I think we're a great chance to win a game 4 and close this baby out back at MSG in front of the best crowd in all of sports right there. We had Pistons fans leaving early, right? Let me pull this up. We had Breen and Hahn couldn't believe that the Pistons fans were leaving early. Man, right? It was only a 3-point game. And then the shot clock table, right, pushed the buzzer before the rebound was even caught, which is unbelievable, right? You can't believe that happened, right? What was going through your mind, man? I thought, are we about to witness the Motown heist? Yeah, all game long. It was frustrating from Bickerstaff, but I don't like MSG constantly showing him, you know. I don't know why we constantly needed to see that. There was one moment where the MSG networks missed the entire play. You know, they were showing somebody, and then the Pistons made a run and got a fast break bucket, and was like, man, what the hell happened on that one? Daras says blitz Cade and everyone and beat everyone else was the game plan. Johnny says if Beef Stew comes back, Tibbs needs to give Precious some minutes for combat duty. Yep. Like for like swap, fam. PJ Tucker is going to get active, fam. And those two can go back and forth like 2 OGs, right? Physically. It's going to be a battle, man. Look, Isaiah Stewart, am I really worried? The guy's hobbled. The guy's on 2 bad knees right now. Even if he can go, you got to test him, man. Get him in the blender, man. Cross match, pick and roll. Put Isaiah Stewart in the pick and roll every single time, man. Right? If they want to try to do it to us with JB, barbecue chicken, man, or campaign. Campaign's too quick because Beef Stew will probably come off the bench, so Brunson might not be on the floor. But whoever's the point guard, pick and roll, spam pick and roll with Beef Stew and get him away from the rim, and then get him shuffling his feet. Get him shuffling his feet. Cat. I like Cat's humor, man. He was definitely applauding the Pistons scorers table for trying some nasty stuff on that one. But we're going to salute our captain because clutch player of the year, and what a statistic. He's leading fourth quarter in the playoffs once again. And this is why he's clutch player of the year. Brunson in the fourth, 12.7 points per game, according to StatMuse, leading the league in 61.9% field goal, ladies and gentlemen. So anyone else that's hating, put that in their pipe and smoke it. Because Jalen Brunson's the clutch player of the year, and he bounced back. Just like a legend, man. He was definitely watching film, and he admitted that he made mistakes in game 2, and he corrected that in this one. But what a performance from Cat in his playoff first round series debut. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk. Julius Randle's been playing well. Some Knicks fans having some buyer's remorse, all of that. But Karl Anthony Towns is a walking mismatch, and we actually play to his strength tonight. So James L. Edwards of The Athletic says Knicks pull out an impressive win and avoid wasting a solid all-round performance. Cat played fast and got things started. OG and Macau's defense in the middle kept things steady, and Brunson closed it and Hart did Hart things throughout the whole night. So impressive, man. We should be handling our business against this team, but I could understand that tonight, man, was a really tough environment, hostile environment. And the Knicks walked into Little Caesars and closed them out in style. Who's been your player of the series, guys? I think it's fair to probably put Cade second. You could make a case, though, that definitely Cat 2 games to Cade's 1.5, I would say. Cat's had 2 good games, Cade's 1.5. So those two probably are very close. But then we have third, Brunson, fourth, OG. Fifth would probably go to Schroeder. Schroeder's had 2 good games now. But then Mikal Bridges, excellent game tonight. Hart, Beasley. Overall, I think we're definitely winning the series with guys having more success on our side. Daras says OG is the key. Yep. Look, he's an unsung hero sometimes because he doesn't always do it with the buckets. But he does all the work that I notice because Timmy tonight was a killer. I've always liked Timmy's game. It's just the guy doesn't play defense well enough, and he's too streaky. But when he's on, man, he's had some of the most crazy NBA games you'll ever see. Right, he's had 40, 50-point performances. He's had I don't know how many points in a quarter before. He's lethal when he gets loose. I always like his release too. Super high release, very athletic. But he's a player that the Knicks need. I think even if off the bench, a player that's a sniper that can, rise up and shoot above the break. I would love the Knicks to target a player like that coming off our bench. I love Deuce, but he's very undersized. If Campaign doesn't return, then you push Deuce back to the 1 and you bring in a real flamethrower off our bench that can hit above the break threes, in a major way. Tendrell says OG Ananoki. He's earning the bag. He's earning every single dollar that he's made with that contract with OG Ananobi tonight. Physically dominant. Cade's a tough matchup, man. 6'7", 6'6". OG's managing to give us 20 plus points per game as well. Right, he looked physically exhausted in that one. He didn't even have enough lift to finish over Paul Reed. Now, one of the things I want to see us clean up, guys, is the third quarter. Right, let's be honest. The third quarter's bedeviled us all season, because even when the Knicks come out of the half with a great lead, we just know we're going to be in for another dogfight. And for once, I would love us to just control a second half, please, just for once. Just take a 10-point lead and push it out to 15 or 20, right? Don't let the other team come back. There were so many stretches we had control of this game, and then the Pistons just got that control back. And then there's so many moments we got the control back, and then the Pistons got back into it again. So I thought we did a solid job of controlling the pace anytime that the Pistons made a run. Tibbs called some good timeouts. Guys hit some tough shots as well. It was a combination, limiting our turnovers as well. Similar to game one, we limited our turnovers, only 9 tonight. So I think given that the Pistons are a very high turnover team, if we can keep any turnovers under 10, under double digits, I think we'll win. I'm very confident. If the Knicks take control of the ball, take care of the ball, we will win the ball game. Only 9 turnovers in a hostile environment was great. Daras says Timmy's done for the series. He shot his load. Man, what a comment. David says, great win, CT. If we win the series, the biggest positive is this series is making us tougher. We needed to get tougher. Yeah, we needed to adjust as well and see what our strengths are and see what we're made of. 100% agree, David. Backs to the wall. But we saw it last season. Remember the Knicks blew Game 5 to Tyrese Maxey, and we came back and we're like, okay, we're going to win this in the Els Fargo, and we went back on the road and we won it. I think this team really secretly loves playing on the road, man. I think Brunson's even admitted it. Cat thrived. Cat kept his cool all night, man. He was smiling. He was not flustered by anybody. And I think that's where the Pistons are really missing beef stew. Because Duran ain't getting under the skin of Cat. Tobias Harris certainly wasn't getting underneath the skin of Cat. Nobody could really frustrate Cat. And we know when Cat gets frustrated and he's arguing and he's fallen out of bounds and he's slow to get up and his head's not right, that can hurt us. But if Cat's dialed in, then that's dangerous for the other team. He kind of is a little bit similar to Julius Randle in terms of demeanor, in terms of you could go south, or in terms of losing focus, letting the players or the refs get into his head. But when he's locked in, he's locked in. And all of our guys were super locked in. Dougie Fresh says facts. Yep. Salvador says when Schroeder on JB, someone else has to bring the ball down. Yeah, great comment as well. I like that. I thought we did a good job sometimes, but then Bridges, got the ball poked away. Hart got the ball poked away. Campaign was a little shaky too. So, yeah, we just had to get the ball back into the safe hands of JB. But just to revisit that potential backcourt, man, that was close. It was definitely the correct call, in my opinion. And I'm not biased. I would have said, if it's a backcourt, I would have said. But I don't think he established position in the front court before he crossed the halfway line. It was very close, however. he was just catching the ball with 1 foot, and so it wasn't establishing position. But we got lucky. We definitely got lucky in some of those situations. Um, you know, the inbounder should have just thrown the ball all the way into the backcourt and let Brunson go get it over there. But poof, thankfully, guys, we can move on now. We can draw a lot of confidence because, yes, the Pistons are going to come back hard in game 4. But we're going to draw a ton of confidence from this one and say, hey, guys, yeah, we played a good game, but we can play even better. We did it the hard way. Tim Hardaway, like Daras said, blew his load, blew a season load in one game, right? He's not going to do that again. Okay, so maybe Malik Beasley gets hot in the next game, but Dennis Schroeder's not going to stay hot like this, man. He hasn't missed yet. Cade, I expect to be a lot better, though, and be a lot more crisp with his passing and playmaking. But like I said, the keys to game 4 is to just stay in it. Just stay focused, hang around, and the crowd, will get nervous, we'll get more confident. But if we can get another Mikal Bridges, Cat performance like this, make them have to put Duran on Cat, or if they put Tobias Harris on Cat, it's good night, man. It's good night. See you later. Because the Pistons just don't have an answer for the cross-matching, right? And look, they tried to attack Jalen Brunson tonight, and they just didn't have much success. Brunson was stout tonight. He was stronger physically, and he wasn't going to get bullied. The Knicks upped the physicality in this one, and that's why we won the game, right? And JB Bickerstaff is complaining still to the referees. Yeah, Cat was serious tonight, dear Ras. David says Bridges was great tonight. I'll give him that. He was hitting big time shots, but I liked his decision making. There was nothing ill advised. He took control of the ball. He even took his time on that fadeaway, the 2-point fadeaway, when the crowd was going crazy. I think it was a 1-point game, and Bridges pushed it back out to 3 with that fade, the 2-point J as well, and he hit his threes too. Yeah, the series is in our favor because the 2-day rest between the last game and this game, you see the benefit. OG, Bridges have looked phenomenal after any break because those are the guys that are the most exhausted, right? I look at Cat and I don't really see a guy who's exhausted. I know Jalen Brunson could probably play another 40 minutes because he's just so conditioned for this. He works in the summer for this moment. But if you look at Hart, Bridges, and Anunoby, I think that they're the guys that have suffered this season via the minutes the most. And any time that those guys have had an extended break, they've played well the next game. Or any time it's the second night of a back-to-back, they usually suffer. And so we get another 2 days of rest, and those guys, that extra day recovery, some people might not have any idea how valuable that is, for the body, for the recovery as well, especially because all the games are at night, so you basically get another full day of basically you get treatment, around the clock treatment on these guys, man. And look, I'll be prepared to give my hamstring or ankle to any of these guys if they need it, especially OG. Remember when OG was hurt Game 7 last year? Everyone was like, "Man, OG, give me, have my hamstring, man." Mitch Lobb has been activated too. Yeah, Mitchie was sharp on the putbacks. Definitely the backdoor cuts were key because the weaknesses of Detroit is Schroeder, Cade. Those guys aren't focused defensively off the ball. On the ball, they got some solid players. Now, I've got to mention this guy. Where was Osar Thompson? I thought Osar Thompson was probably a no-show. He was one of the players missing for Detroit. we didn't feel his impact. I don't know if there's any injury report. I haven't seen it. Let me scroll through. However, yeah, Osar Thompson wasn't a major factor in this one. As a B-ball breakdown, Coach Nick, friend of the program, and hopefully we talk to Coach Nick in a minute. I've been trying to arrange a show for Coach Nick to come on, but B-ball breakdown says Jalen Brunson is what is known as a closer. So definitely paying props. A lot of people saying Hart's performance, that's why you stick with Hart. Yeah. JB Bickerstaff in the post-game says there's some procedural things they have questions on following their loss to the Knicks. How come we don't go and make sure that we're positive of the time on the clock? So that's crazy. You got JB Bickerstaff. He was wanting them to put more time on the clock, which is absolutely insane, right? They shouldn't have even benefited from that situation, right? You know, the ball came off the hoop with 0.5 tenths of a second left. By the time a player caught it, it would have been game over. But because of the Pistons buzzer, timekeeper, blowing that buzzer, that allowed them a side out, which is absolutely insane. And he's complaining that there wasn't more time on the clock. So, you know, the sooner we send these guys packing, the better. And we can focus. We can focus on the Detroit Pistons in the next one. Let me see if there's any other reactions to come through. Man, what a performance as the Knicks took that series lead 2-1. And we're definitely headed back to Madison Square Garden no matter what. We're headed back to MSG with home court advantage back on our side. You know, so gritty performance, probably our grittiest of the season. What do you guys think? Props to the crowd. You know, it was a very hostile environment. But that's why you pay the closer to close things out. And that's why Cade has to learn to close things out. But they have the shooters, so we had the paint present. We won the points in the paint. We won the fast break points tonight as well. And we dominated in the turnovers and the blocks too. So everything that we thought when Mitchell Robinson returned has come to fruition in terms of the double big lineups. You know, we're tag teaming. I know we haven't seen the double bigs enough. But the fact that if you sub Cat out and you can bring a Mitch in, it's perfect offense for defense. And the Knicks won the fast break points in the paint, 46-36 as well. So that's something that the Pistons are going to have to try to counter. Are they going to go more Paul Reed? Are they going to play more Isaiah Stewart? We'll see. You know, maybe Isaiah Stewart can't go game 4. You know, he had scans on those knees, so maybe something's come back where he's just not good to go. You know, he's got to be limited. Even if he does end up playing, he's got to be super limited. Close out at home, Knicks in 5, says Daras. Yep, it's looking good. I must admit, if we can take control back in game 4, well, we've taken control game 3. If we can basically put one hand on the throat in game 4, and then I think Pistons will wilt. I think the crowd, the inexperience. I mean, how many of their shooters can continue to shoot at this high of a level, right? And look, Karl Anthony Towns is the key. You know, we've seen it tonight. We saw it in game 1. You got to feed the big cat. You got to feed him because he's the big mismatch, right? We've shown that Brunson isn't as much of a mismatch because they've got the defenders that can hang with him and frustrate him, but they've got nothing for big cat. as he sent the Pistons crowd home, headed for the exits early in this one, and the Knicks grit out a 118-116 victory. We'll be buzzing on this win. I look forward to getting back. Let's do a show on Saturday and we'll preview the Sunday game, as the Knicks have control and are poised to win this series now. Let's not let them back into it, you know. Let's not let Pistons hang around, and hopefully we close this out in 5. Right, that would be excellent for the next series. So salute to the chat. Appreciate you guys, diehards in the streets. Keep it buzzing. Big up to our Knicks for answering the call. On the road, there were road warriors, and the Thundercat was on fire tonight as Brunson dished out 9 dimes to the big cat, closing it out with free throws as well. 11 steals from our Knicks, 7 blocks, man. 18 stocks is incredible, with under 10 turnovers as well. So, amen, guys. Bless up. Let's go, Knicks.